recording it. There's no live stream at all. There's not enough internet.
Okay, I think we're ready to start. I just want to welcome everyone to Marlboro, to the ladies' gathering. You know, we debated whether to have it. We also want to thank those that are joining us from virtually, because we are trying to get that set up. Paul's helping us there. So we just want to welcome a few things. Most of you have found the bathrooms. They're straight back. There are 2 bathrooms. One's for the men, but we don't have that many, so if the men will just knock to make sure no one's in there. We're trying to keep social distancing so we can have this, so if you will just Lord to Gorn and being disciples for Jesus. Now we're going to have Kathy Walden and Kimberly Farlow. They're both from Marlboro. Kathy is our pianist and Kimberly is a violinist, and they play beautifully, so they're going to play for us.
Good morning. Kimberly and I are going to play 4 songs for you this morning. The first one is the Ashcon Farewell. It was written for the Civil War series that many of you may have seen on PBS. And then Thais' Meditation, and then 2 old hymns that I'm sure you'll recognize.
brought my visual today. Normally, when I do Sunday school lessons and presentations before a group, I do a PowerPoint and videos and all that. I'm going kind of low tech today, and Paul said thank you because we've got a lot of technology troubles this morning. So I thought we'd go old school, come, abide, and go. I currently am an elementary school principal of Liberty Elementary. This is my 27th year in education, and I'm on the countdown. I said this July I was going to start saying, after this, just 2 more years. If my health stays good, I've got a year of sick leave, and I will do something in education, but it will not be the principal of the school. A bit stressful. So as you can imagine, the governor and the school board have made my life quite interesting in the last few weeks. We have about 150 kids that come to school on Monday and Tuesday. We meet remotely with about 130 on Wednesdays, and then we have another group of students, about 125, that come on Thursdays and Fridays. Well, on October 19th, we will be welcoming about 325 Monday through Friday, and we'll still have to figure out a way to teach the other 90 at home at the same time. So we've had a really fun time. So I borrowed these from Gwen Hall's classroom. For those of you that live around here and know Gwen, she taught at Newmarket for many years. She was my 3rd grade teacher, my daughter's 1st grade teacher, and now I get to evaluate her, which is a fun twist of events, let me tell you. She and I have a good time with that. So she's been working at my school to provide interventions for kids. She's in about year 40 of education, and so she's who I want to be when I grow up. And so we use our magnetic letters for come, abide, and go today. So as I was preparing for this devotion, I thought, I know our focus today is go, but we can't go without come and abide. So that's really where I started thinking. I sort of have a life verse, which is James 4:8, draw near to me, and I will draw near to you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. And as David brought me to Advocate, and I realized that the actual scripture for abide in me and I will abide in you, I never realized how close those 2 verses were. Come close to me, I'll come close to you. Stay in me, I'll stay in you. And so that one really challenged me. But before I got the Advocate, I looked up James 4:8 in the Message, which is a more modern day revision. This one seems a little bit of a stretch to me from my little 8-word or 9-word life verse, but it had some things in it that really spoke to me, so I put that in here. So in the Message, James 4:8 says, so let God work his will in you. Yell a loud no to the devil and watch him scamper. Say a quiet yes to God, and he'll be there in no time. I love that part. Quit dabbling in sin. Purify your inner life. Quit playing the field. Hit bottom and cry your eyes out. The fun and games are over. Get serious, really serious. Get down on your knees before the master. It's the only way you'll get on your feet. So I thought, I'm going to go back and read some more of that. So we start by asking ourselves, are we close to God? Are we drawing near? Are we coming to him? And are we letting him work his will in us? Most of us can probably recall times that we felt close to the nearness of God, his presence at certain times in our life. But when we get to that challenge of abiding in him, do we remain in him in the good times and the bad? In this pandemic that we've been in since the middle of March, I don't know that we'll ever forget that Saturday when they just closed the schools and no one really knew that was coming, and then told us all to stay home and not go anywhere and put on masks and wash our hands and stay away from each other. It's been a particular kind of challenge as we've been separated from our friends, our meetings. Are we using that time to be filled with God's presence? Or has that space in our minds been filled with worry over our loved ones, our increasing societal problems, and even fear for our own health? But during this time more than ever, we're called to come and abide with God, accepting his power over the worldly problems that we face. It's not until we do this can we accept that go challenge that he puts before us. So we're going to shift to kindergarten and mix up my letters here a little bit and just focus on go. Okay? So how many of you out there, I know several of you, but I want a show of hands of how many of you have been involved in homeschooling since the middle of March, in any way, shape, or form? Children, grandchildren, raise them high, be proud. Been involved in homeschooling, look around. Quite a number of you, whether it be your own children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. I talked to a great-grandmother this beginning of school, and she was bringing her 37th great-grandchild that she is helping raise, and she said, this is the last one. They better not ask me to take care of any more of the children. She has like 30 grandchildren and 37 great-grandchildren. And so she was bringing her, taking care of her, bringing her to pre-K. And so I'm constantly humbled by those stories. So go, God made this one pretty simple for us, right? 2 letters, go. And this is one of the first words we teach. I have a lot of stressful parts of my job, and I love sitting in kindergarten. One little kindergarten the first week of school built Trump Tower out of shapes. And I love it. I have a picture on my phone if you want to see it. And I said, oh, Trump Tower. I was so shocked, first of all. And so I said, oh, well, I'd like to take your picture. I took his picture. I said, I want to send this to your mom and dad. He's like, oh, no. And I said, well, are they Trump fans? Thinking, surely they are if he knows about Trump Tower, right? He's like, oh, no, they might be mad. So I texted his mom, like, that last week, and I said, I keep forgetting to send this picture, and I told her the little story. She said, well, we are a house divided for that reason, but I just love kindergarten. And so we've been teaching Go, and here's how we teach. So this is the audience participation part. We'll see how this goes online and with you all here. So we start out by talking about the letters G-O, spell go. Okay, repeat that with me. G-O spells go, right? And we do a lot of cool things with that. We will mix up our letters and we'll say, can you make go? What do I need to start go? Help me out. G-O spells go. And so we do that with magnetic letters. We mix it and fix it. And then we'll play a cool game, and it's called What's Missing? What's missing? G. Oh, and then we get excited. And I bet my kindergarten teachers are so great at this. They get so excited. What's missing? O. Spells go. And then after that, we say, okay, get your finger ready. Everybody get your finger. I'm really strong. If you're teaching your young ones to read, this is the finger. Whatever your writing hand is, it's a strong pointing finger. I was fussing with a first grader yesterday because they sloppily like to put their fingers all over the page. Get your strong pointer out. Write go in the air. G-O spells go. Now write it on the table. Write it on the table. G-O spells go. With kindergarten and with most learning, a lot of repetition is needed. So maybe God had an idea there. We're making it simple. So now that we know our word go, we'll see if we can repeat it throughout our lesson here. In just a few words, he started making it simple. In Matthew 28:19, when Jesus appears to the disciples after the resurrection, he says he's been given all authority in heaven and on earth, and then says, therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. Along about the same time, I started reading, I had this little brochure from Elton Trueblood to give to my mother-in-law, who started coming to church with us. My husband's family was Baptist, and after his dad passed away, she's been coming to church with us some, so I had not given it to her yet, and I picked it up, and I was kind of reading it as a part of my devotion. And he talks about in here about the real presence of Christ and how he's available in an instant to those who open their heart to him. And he describes, and I underline, a strong insistence that the roots and the fruits of religion must be held together. The root is the abiding presence, and the fruits is what we do with it. Early Quakers focused on the inner experience and let it impact their outer social witness. Many times this witness dealt with the hardest human problems. We think of the Quaker opposition to slavery and the operation of the Underground Railroad, and I wonder if I could have been that bold and that brave in that time to be called to go in that way. In his book, he talks about Elizabeth Fry and how she used that witness for prison reform. Samuel Tuke, and I didn't recall that name, who established treatment for those with mental illness, rather than just putting them away. Never in society do I think that need has been stronger than today. We have a long way to go with that one. Are we being called to go and take action on any of these social problems? Or is it easier to just take our concerns verbally to each other, and I said in parentheses, AKA complain to one another? I'm going to have to chuckle, so that means you get that. In other words, without following up with some kind of action. And just putting that into writing, I feel kind of guilty about that one. So we're going to do one more quick teaching strategy, and it's called the 5 W's and an H. It is a comprehension strategy that we start First grade, and then really in second grade. My second grade teachers have already assessed this 3 times in the beginning of school. The 5 W's and an H. They are who, where, what, where, when, why, and how. So you guys have been to school. That's great. You know how that works. So we can break that down with this verse, the go and tell verse. So who is it? Us, all of us, and to whom? Everybody. Right, that's easy. And it's otherwise known as the Great Commission. So then we get to where? Everywhere. Specifically all nations. And, you know, we do a lot of focus on that. When I was little, I used to think that was about going to Africa. Ken and Judy Hollingsworth were in my home meeting at Sophia United Church of Christ, and they spent 35 years in Africa, and I thought, wow, that must be something to leave your family and all the comforts that we have and go live in a village, and we would see them every couple of years, and I think they're back here now. That's what I thought it meant. But then as I've gotten older, I realized that go can mean anywhere. It can be right here. And in this pandemic can maybe mean go without leaving your house. So what might that look like? So let's think about that. I go to school every day. My life hasn't really changed. I think I've worked remotely 2 or 3 days since March. Otherwise, I've been in the office getting ready for whatever comes next. But I have to, remind myself that my goal is to serve whoever gets put in front of me that day. Whatever student, has a bad day most of the time. Sometimes a good day. I did be able to give out a couple of rewards on Friday for some kids that had met their goals. And so I have to constantly remind myself to be that model to my students, my parents, my staff, my community. And then I go home and I'm humbled by the fact that I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a church member, and I'm challenged by that to go in that arena of my life because I go 70 hours a week or more to my school life, not a whole lot of time left. So where might God be calling you to go? Is it to your place of work? To your home, to your community, to Walmart? How about going and picking up the phone and calling someone who's lonely and needs a kind word? How about going for a walk, smiling at those you meet in a park, on the street, listening for those God might call you to speak to? A few years ago, I heard this story, and his name was Kevin. You can actually look him up. He was on the Golden Gate Bridge at the end of his rope getting ready to jump. And he had told himself, if only one person will ask me if I'm okay, I won't do it. No one did. He jumped. And he had taken a bus and all these things. His story is so powerful. But he lived to tell about it. They were able to put him back together, and now he's a mental health advocate that goes around. We have mental health crisis training as principals and as teachers. And so he goes around telling that story. But what if you were the one person who said, "Are you okay?" And kept somebody from making a bad life choice. So each of you out there have been given talents, the music, the sewing that's here, the literature, the tools that are here, whatever your gift might be, visiting, talking, sending cards, showing love wherever we go. The when, who, what, where, when is now. The answer is always now. It's not later. It may be somebody's last chance. Given the brevity of life and the fragility, why wait? Can we use the slowdown of these past few months to come and abide and go wherever God is calling us, or are we filling that time with material distractions? I reread that this morning and boy did that step on my toes in these times. And the why? Because God said so. It's pretty simple, right? God said so, and because the world needs us. The world needs us desperately. Who else is going to go and make disciples and teach his commandments and follow and love these people? And the how might be the best part of all. In the last verse of Matthew, after Jesus directs his disciples to go, he ends with the how. He's about to be taken up into heaven, and I can't imagine how the disciples must have felt. Jesus says, "And surely I'm with you always, to the very end of the age." With us always? Someone who died 2,000 years ago? How's that possible? My mom died in July. And so she's not with me physically, but she'll always be with me, if you know what I mean. So even more so with Christ living in me and directing my thoughts and actions if I'll just listen. And so I don't know if any of you in here are country music fans. I debated on putting this in here, but if you've heard this song and not cried, I'll be surprised. But, as with sometimes country music and other lyrics, if we apply them with a spiritual mindset, sometimes we see them in a new light. This is Luke Combs, Even Though I'm Leaving. And as I thought about the inner presence and the spirit that Elton Trueblood talked about, I Googled these lyrics and copied and pasted them into my closing. It says, just because I'm leaving, it don't mean that I won't be right by your side. When you need me and you can't see me in the middle of the night, just close your eyes and say a prayer. It's okay, I know you're scared when I'm not here, but I'll always be right there. Even though I'm leaving, I ain't going nowhere. So just when we feel like we don't know what to do, or where to go, or when to go, or where to go, Jesus has promised to be the real presence that those early clickers were drawn to. My prayer for you is that this sense of presence is in each of you every day, and that you feel empowered to go and make disciples for Jesus. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. That was beautiful. I think we'll take that with us as we go today. Good morning, everyone. I'm Janet Robbins, and it is wonderful to see everybody here, each of you. And thank you so much for coming today. And doesn't it feel good just to be back together? Yeah. So let's all give ourselves a little hug. And I do want to say thank you to Marlboro Friends in Motion for having us today. Thank you for the beautiful decorations, the hand sanitizer with our verse on it. I think we'll all remember that as we use our hand sanitizer. And thank you for the food that we're going to have. Thank you to Paul Ruth, who's here today helping video our session today so that those at home, and we can also go back and look at this again. We can see our meeting again. For our business, we were not able to have our spring conference at Quaker Lake in May because of COVID and the pandemic. But I want to thank Rossi Hobson for keeping us connected through the Carolina Woman. It has our news and information that's kept us together. And so, Rossi, let's give you a hand, because it is a lot of work. So please, if you do not get Carolina Woman, let us know. You can receive it by email. You can receive it by regular mail. It's a way for us to stay connected. On other business, we did have our board meeting yesterday, and we looked at our green sheet projects. We have just a few revisions. We're so thankful to Rita and our USFW ladies who were able to give us information about changes in the projects for 2021. You will be seeing those new projects in our next Carolina Woman, so be sure to look for that. And we will also be having that list for you on green paper, because they're the green sheets. We'll have those for you at the spring meeting. Everybody pray we can be together in the spring at Quaker Lake. The changes are that under United Thank Offering, number 4 will be changed to Kenya e-learning at the Friends Theological College. So just like we have virtual learning for our kids, the Friends Theological College needs more help with their e-learning. And so that is a wonderful project for us to have now for our green sheet under United Thank Offering. And then under number 1 for Keys to the Kingdom, we are including the Belize literacy program so that adults can have this access to learning also. Our December project will now just be the Friends Disaster Service, because the Friends Center, which was formerly MOA Choctaw, is now included in Christian service. So it was a duplication, so it's still there. It's just under Christian service. And we are so excited for the changes that have happened at the Friends Center. There have been so many renovations, and we helped support that. We sent, North Carolina, USFW sent $1,200 to help them with their improvements. And so they're very thankful. So many nice things have been done. They're able to have internet access and many, many updates, and they're very thankful for this. We do want to say thank you to each of you and to your circles for supporting our Green Sheet projects. Even during the pandemic, when many of you were not meeting, you still sent your money in to support all of the many wonderful things that USFW is doing. As our own Rita Mittmeyer said, and Rita, I love this, so I'm going to say it, what you quoted. I hope we can continue to love others by feeding them, caring for them, educating them, and building relationships that show we value them. Does that not say it all? Yeah. And that's what we're all about. Also, I've got some numbers for you. $1,565. Where did that go? Anybody know? Well, you sent that to Quaker Lake, and that was much appreciated. Our spring offering usually is for Quaker Lake, and since we could not meet, you still sent in your money, and that money was most needed. Heather is very appreciative of this, especially since they were not able to have camp this year. They are doing well, and I'll give you an update from them, but that's how much we sent. FEMAP is also very appreciative. We sent $1,130 to FEMAP, our Friends Emergency Medical Assistance Program. And the kits that they prepared, the hygiene kits, and several of you helped with this at the Allen J. House. And those kits cost $6 each. So we were able to help support a lot of good work that's being done by preparing the hygiene kits. In 2020, 958 kits were sent out through FEMAP. And we want to say a little thank you to Becky James. She's not here with us today. She has been on our board in the past. Becky is really a big leader there at FEMAP. And so, Becky, if you're listening, thank you so much. Our spring conference will be held at Quaker Lake in May of 2021. The tentative date right now is going to be May 22nd. So put that on your calendar, and we will be giving you more information about that. Our speaker will be Nikki Holland from Belize, Friends Ministries. We are cautiously optimistic. Don't you love those two words? Cautiously. I want to say we trust in God that this will happen. And let us all pray that we can be together at our spring conference, and we will keep you posted. Other business, I would like for Sarah Cox to come up and tell you about the books that she has up here today, and especially about one book that I've already purchased, Bury Me With My Pearls. It sounds like a really good book. She's going to tell us about that. And you know, all the profits from our literature sales go to help support our scholarship program, along with, of course, our January project for the Eliza Armstrong Cox Fellowship, as well as September, when you send in your membership fees. We also support scholarship at that time. So Sarah, come on up. And thank you for meeting people at the Walmart, in the parking lot, at churches to get books.
Where I speak, I'm going to pick up Kathy. We dropped a knee up here. You might need that.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's a heel.
We don't want to extend the knee without
A knee.
I might need that.
The M and come, very essential.
I'd like to sort of reiterate what she was saying. It's important for us to buy books because it does help with our scholarship program, and we have some really good books up here. I want to read to you a little bit out of this book called Bury Me With My Pearls. How many of you know who Jean Robertson is? I think everybody's probably seen her stories. She was former Miss North Carolina. The author of this book is Jane Jenkins Herlong, and she is a former Miss South Carolina. Very much like Jeannie, she travels around. She sings as well as does humorous stories and things. But I was telling them yesterday, I took this book with me to the mountains with my family over the 4th, and was sitting on the front porch of the house we were staying in, rocking and reading, and I kept laughing out loud, and my family kept saying, "What in the world are you, what's wrong? What's so funny?" And there was just, every time I turned a page about, there was something comical. This one story, what she talks about is the way that different things in our lives, even though they're irritants, they can turn into pearls. That's what happens to an oyster and has an irritant in it, a grain of sand, and it turns into a beautiful pearl. Well, we have irritants in our lives too, and sometimes they come from the strangest places and can make us stop and think about how we react. And throughout this book, that's what she talks about. But this one story was just very comical, and happened in a ladies' room in an airport where she had gone in after a flight, and she heard da-da, 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 da-da. You know, from Jaws, the shark. I may not have done that exactly right, but it was the song, and she thought, what in the world is going on here? What? It was from the stall next door. She looked, and there was somebody, she could see her feet next door to her, and she said, "Hello?" And there was somebody right beside of her, and she had her cell phone on, and she was talking on her cell phone. And we talk on cell phones in some really strange places sometimes. And she was a little surprised at that, and she said, "I think there should be an app on a phone that says when and where not to talk on your cell phone, and it should be a free download." Well, she is from South Carolina, from John's Island, and she said this phrase is common to that area. Well, my curious, not my curiosity, but my curious was up. I had a long layover, so I listened, and have mercy, that woman was on a job interview. The kicker was that she said, "Yes, I'm great with paperwork." The humorist in me couldn't stand it. I handed her a wad of toilet paper. A voice whispered, "Very funny. I'm on a job interview." To which I replied, "Anybody guess? No job is finished until the paperwork is done." Another pearl was formed that day on my ever-growing stream. We all have a choice. Let a situation control us, or can take control of it. Many times we're tempted to let a dumb situation have the upper hand. The small things in life may stump us. We allow our emotions to take over, and we give in to our feelings. Managing our emotions is important. They reveal what's inside of us. Life situations reveal who we really are and what we need to change. Yes, pearls can be produced in most unlikely places. Walmart, McDonald's, and even a bathroom in an airport. Our Heavenly Father loves to teach us lessons about ourselves in unusual places. Good book, but there are many, many more up here that are wonderful too. If you didn't come by prior to our start of our meeting, I'll be here, be up there during lunch and then afterwards for a while. And I'd like to say we had during this past year 33 ladies that read requirements to get a certificate of reading award from the USFW, and those are in envelopes on the table. If your meeting sent in those reading forms, I have them, their certificates are in the envelopes on the table. If someone's not here to pick up from those meetings, I'll put those in the mail too. But we're all proud of the number of people that read. I want to say the Hunter had 9 people that turned in, what they did. But hope you will continue to read, enjoy our books. We've got a couple books, this is being one, and Amish Front Porch, I believe, was the other one. If you would like those books, they're not, I've run out of them, so I can order those for you. I've taken a couple orders this morning. So just let me know, and I'll be glad to order those books for you. But hope you will continue to read, and as Jan said, I met people at homes and in my church parking lot at Walmart, Target, a lot of different places this summer. Got to know lots of different roads and different places to visit, but we enjoyed at least getting to speak and to visit a little bit with some of our members throughout the summer. And so we also mailed quite a few things too. And don't forget, if you have not gotten your calendars and blueprints, those are up here also. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to talk a little bit about Quaker Lake and give you an update since Heather was not able to be with us. She does want to let you know that Quaker Lake is doing well, and that even though they did not get to have camp this summer because of the restrictions, they did mail out care packages. That's gone really well. They did a video like they usually do. I think it's great. You can go on the website and look at that. And then the golf tournament brought in $30,000, and that really helped tremendously. So even though the Pumpkin Festival is not going to be held this year, and that's such a great event, the Quaker Lake staff, they're planning a new venture, and it's going to be a trunk and treat. How many of you already do trunk and treats maybe at your church? Several of them, yeah. It's a lot of fun. Decorate your trunks, and then you can pass out candy to the kids. They're going to have it so that it's very safe. You do need to sign up for a certain time slot. I think it's going to be 120 people that can come on October the 17th. It's from 2 to 6. So please go on the website, look at that. It's free. I think it'll be a great way for the kids to still stay connected and have fun. Also, Friends Center update. Our offering today does go to Friends Center as well as Friends Campus Ministries. Wes Daniels could not be here with us today. He did send me a newsletter that I pulled up on my phone, and I think there have been some furloughs, and a few folks have lost their job. That was sad. They lost someone passed away, and that has been a loss for the college and for the Friends Center. But the good news is they have 30 applicants for the Quaker Leadership Scholars Program. He was very excited about that. They're very thankful for those who are continuing to donate to the Friends Center. And now I'd like to let Carrie Ritter come up and with the interns for the Friends Campus Ministry Program. And we're just so glad that you're here with us today, and thank you for sharing.
I'm going to let them do most of the update for the different places, but I just want to gladly say that Friends Campus Ministries is in Greensboro, and we are super excited because I think that's the first time I've officially said it, and this is the first official year, so we're super excited. They've been working really hard since spring, and I'm just going to let it be to them, and I'll come back and close it again.
Hi, my name is Kristen Meisenheimer, and I'm an intern at NC State in the Raleigh area. I guess just a quick update on like what we've been doing. So every week, right now we have a group of 5 of us because, well, NC State sent everybody home, so we're struggling for some people, but we're looking on the up and up that hopefully next semester we can get more people as maybe some more come back to campus. But currently every week we have food that we bring in, and we have like a Bible study. Right now we do like a video series, and sometimes we do like just look at the Bible and go through it. And it's just a really good time, like during the week, you get to like get out of your classes and you're just like, I just need to be with some fellow Quakers. And it's just really good to be with some people. So that's what we're doing right now, right? Currently we meet at a picnic shelter at a local park. So we'll probably be going on Zoom sometime soon because it'll get dark and cold. But we're excited. We're really excited just to continue Friends Campus Ministry through our situation because it's been difficult, but we know that the need is there for college kids. So if you have anybody in the Raleigh area, please give me their contact information. I'd love to like get out to them because if we're starting on Zoom, we would love to like bring in new people. It doesn't matter where they are in Raleigh or whatever at the moment. So that's where we are for Raleigh.
Kristen will never say it about herself, but she works really, really, really hard, and it's really hard because there's nobody there. But ever since, I don't know, March, we got together and we're working on things, and she works really hard. So she's great. She inspires me, even though sadly the pandemic gave me more people. So I'm Beulah Gullion, and I go to Guilford College, and as of February, I'm the intern in Greensboro. So we started out really, really small. There hasn't been one in Greensboro for a long time, so it was literally me and my two friends last semester. And then we went on Zoom because everything shut down, and that just didn't really go very well. So we ended early, we ended in April, and we started back in August. And while everyone has been sent home, it's been really great for Friends Campus Ministry in Greensboro. So we've been having about 5 people join on Zoom. We do Zoom and in person because we have a lot of people who either are grad students and their schedules are too busy or aren't comfortable being out in public yet. So they come on Zoom. The little laptop sits next to me. It's a little awkward, but we do it. And we meet on Monday nights. And so we've been having anywhere from 6 to, last week we actually had 13, which was a huge group. I didn't know what was happening. We're super, super thrilled. We're working really hard to try to get people from UNCG because we would like to be a UNCG affiliated organization. So specifically, if you know any students there, let me know. So far, we only have 2, working really hard. But Greensboro's been really, really an encouraging element of my life lately, and also the other members of the meetings. We have friends from all the yearly meetings that I'm aware of, all 3 that I personally know about, and it's really encouraging to come together, and especially with not being able to do anything else. Most of our meetings are not meeting. Being able to have a small gathering, you know, we awkwardly take our temperature, and then we try to sit only next to people that we either came with, or, you know, it's a little awkward, and sometimes someone new comes, and we're not sure if they, you know, we eat, and so we're nervous to eat next to them. So we work really hard to be really cautious. But one of the most exciting things is I got a little overwhelmed. I work at Quaker Lake, and I live at Quaker Lake. I go to school, and I also am the youth leader at Center Friends. So I was getting a little overwhelmed, and Carrie helped me, and we got someone to co-intern or be an intern under me in Greensboro. Her name is Brewer Baker, and some of you might have know her from Quaker Lake Camp if your grandchildren have gone. She's originally from New Garden Friends, but she has been growing and super excited. So now that it's both of us trying to work there. But Greensboro is really exciting. We did get to have our young adult retreat this summer, or fall, in September. Felt like summer. For the first time since either of us have been young adults, and that was through the young adults and Friends Campus Ministries. That was encouraging. Brenda McKinney threatened me and said if I didn't say I was in QLSP that she was going to. So I'm a new QLSP scholarship and recipient as of this semester. So I'll get
What
to
is that? For us folks that don't know stuff, tell us what that is.
At Friends Center, it is the Quaker Leadership Scholarship Program. And it is what Wes Daniels runs. If you ever heard Wes Daniels come and speak to y'all, he actually teaches one of my classes for one of my majors, but he also helps run Friends Center. And QLSP is basically a group of people who are either Quakers or would like to learn about Quakers, it gives us a chance to be able to afford to go for college a little bit more. But it also is focused on service. So this semester, mainly the only service projects have to do with the homeless in Greensboro because there's not a lot we can do bigger picture. That's what you'll see.
And that's one of the reasons I like to go last, because one of them will tell you how hard they work, and as you can tell with the list of things that they are listing off that they do. I just wanted to thank you for all your support that you give us, and just tell you, as you hopefully will continue to support us, there are a couple of ways. One, I'd love to know if you know of anyone that is in Greensboro or Raleigh, or anywhere else, because Yakima Quarter is also trying to build one in ASU at Appalachian State University, and it is really fun to build meeting places right now, because it's not, it's not easy. So please pray for these two and the rest of our college as they are out there. That was my second thing on my list is prayer. I could not imagine being a college student right now, and I was in college for 11 years, and I have no idea how they're doing it without that support, without being able to see each other. It's so vital, and I'm so proud of both of these for continuing to work really hard to continue to build this ministry, because I could not imagine being in college. Yeah, I just couldn't right now. It's not an easy time, and it's not easy globally right now either. So please keep prayer for all of our students, young adults, whatever we want to call them, that are all at all the different campuses. Also, there's another way that if you want to adopt a Bible study, you can. We have papers about it over there. And I just wanted to thank these two and also tell you, I think that we're thinking of a spring young adult, right? I just wanted to double check. Yeah. Because they didn't mention it, and they're the ones planning it. So we don't know when or where yet, but we will get that information out. It also depends on what is available for us to meet with in spring. So we are hoping to do that as well. And we had 15 at the beach retreat. So we were so excited because I was trying to sit there and think maybe 2014 or 2015.
Wow.
It's been a while, you guys, because we kept having hurricanes too, and then just other stuff. So thank you so much for all your time, your support, and your prayers, because I think they are definitely working. I can feel them working. And I just want to, I think that's it. Just thank you. And please come by and look at our pictures and ask us any questions you have, and tell me where every college kid is that you know. Thank you.
Do you have email addresses for the three of you at your display?
We have phone numbers over there, not email addresses.
Okay.
But we can give you email addresses too.
Oh, would you write them down over there
Yes, we will.
so we can pick them up?
Yes,
All right,
we will work on that.
good.
Yes, go for it.
We do have a tentative plan. We met recently. We're hoping to do it in the early part of the semester because both of us are part of Quaker Lake Camp, and we're really hoping that something happens this summer. So we're not going to try to do it in the later part when it's warm again. So hopefully, like late February, working on it. Brew Baker, my intern, she actually has a family farm that's an Airbnb, and it would be very socially distanced. It's in the mountains of North Carolina, well, Virginia, right across the line, actually near where I grew up. So that is our tentative plan. We are working on, prices. I've been talking to her dad about giving us discount because Quakers, he's Quaker. We've been working on that, but that is our tentative plan, and we're really hoping that even more can come than went to the beach, because the beach was in South Carolina. Several people didn't want to cross the state lines during this time, and we were at North Myrtle, and we were very careful. We didn't go anywhere, and we were really contained to our little area, but a lot of people were more nervous about that. So we're hoping being in a more secluded place will be really good. Also,
So we're also thinking about having an FCM Christmas kind of bash or whatever. Tentatively maybe at Beulah's Place, but we'll see. Location to be determined. But we're really excited to hopefully have bring over into Christmas time. Also, if you, no matter what location, if you know of any young adult, these retreats are open for everybody, young adults. So it doesn't matter if they're in Greensboro or Raleigh. We have people come from, excuse me, from Wilmington and Boone and stuff like that. So we would love for anybody, young adult, to come. So we'll send out word for whenever retreats and stuff come up. But please let everybody know that we're here, and that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies, for all that information, and we look forward to learning more about what you're doing, and that's what we need for our young leaders, and we just appreciate what you're doing to promote the Friends testimony and the work that you're doing at Quaker Lake as well as at school. We're going to take a short time now to put our offerings in the bowls that are on the table. Your offering today does go for Friends Campus Ministries and the Friends Center at Guilford College. So I was hoping that Kathy, our pianist, who's just come out from the kitchen, might be willing to play just a little bit of what you played earlier while folks have enough time to just get their money out and put it in the bowl. That will also give Paul and I just a few minutes to connect with our speaker. And thank you, Kathy, for letting me put you on the spot for that. And if someone does need to go to the restroom at this time, you could certainly do that. Okay? Thank you.
The present now will make you show your screen on those links. I'm switching you over to the sound system. That's just me hooking up.
Our postal service has just issued a new thank you stamp in 4 fall colors. And thank you is a demonstration of kindness that we need during this challenging time. We all need kindness. And I read in an article that kindness is something that the blind can see and the deaf can hear.
Hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Hold on just a second. I blinked it so you could see Janice.
So I brought up the thank you stamp and how it shows kindness because our speaker today, Marion Benny, who you see, she has asked us to bring stamps because Right Sharing of World Resources uses the stamps and sells them to be able to fund the grants that are given to the women of Sierra Leone, India, and Kenya, so that they can start a business, help support their family, feed their family. So Marion served as a volunteer at Ramallah Friends School and the Friends Bible Institute at Camosi from 1968 to 70. And then from 71 to 2015, she was involved in international education at UNC Charlotte, where she helped international students acclimate and navigate the challenges of immigration and cultural adjustment. She's a member of Charlotte Friends Meeting, Piedmont Friends Fellowship, yearly meeting, and Friends General Conference. She currently serves on the board for Right Sharing of World Resources, and we are just so pleased she's with us today via our presentation with Paul helping us. And Marion, thank you again.
You can't?
Okay, I think you're ready.
Okay, am I on?
Yes, you're on.
Okay. So, can you see me? Good morning, friends.
Morning.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, I want to thank you for this opportunity to be with you today, even though at a distance, because I know that we're together in spirit. And before I begin my presentation, I just want to share a little bit with you about my connection with USFW. Sometimes when I talk about this, I get a little teary, so if you hear me choke up because of that. But in 1971, which as I watched some of the younger friends this morning realize that's probably before you were even born, I was asked by the North Carolina USFW to be the speaker at your meeting time at Guilford. And when I arrived at the meeting, I was settling in and the phone rang. Hall phone rang, so some of you may remember hall phones in dormitories. And I went to answer it because nobody else was around, and it was somebody from UNC Charlotte talking to me about a position there that they were considering me for. And I realized that if not North Carolina for this meeting, I probably would have not considered that position because it's too far from Iowa. But because I was there with a few friends at USFW, I felt it was right to consider that position. So I borrowed Wally Still's car and drove to Charlotte and interviewed for the position, came back and made my presentation, and ultimately came to UNC Charlotte. And I've been grateful for the connection that USFW made, both for my presenting about my time in Ramallah, but also to connect me with UNC Charlotte. So I thank you for that. I'll also mention that my mother, Maxine, was very active at USFW. She was the international president for some years and traveled among friends, women, and making presentations in North Carolina as well. So I have a lot of gratitude to my mother as well. Okay, well, I got through that. So now I want to turn to a presentation about USFW
But before I do that, I want to thank Janet for her patience and kindness to me in considering how to present this today, and also to Paul. I think we should all give a good round of thanks to Paul for his knowledge and capacity to help bring all of you together and possible for us to be together in this way. So the quiet gifts and skills behind the scenes. So my presentation today, I think I'm switching to this. Just going to check to make sure I've got all the parts together and going here. So can you see the right sharing screen? Yes. Okay. So my presentation today is really to share the story about ride sharing for those of you who are unfamiliar, or be a nice reminder for those of you who know about ride sharing already, and to introduce you to some of the strong and resilient women partners that ride sharing supports, and also to indicate some opportunities for individuals or groups or others to participate in some of the work of ride sharing and its ministry. So ride sharing is an international organization that was founded by Friends World Committee for Commutation in 1967. That occurred right at Guilford College, when Friends came together for this international conference to share concerns about the environment, population, resources, and ways to put their into action. That concern, and those concerns, are still very much with us today, aren't they? And I'll also say here, that personally, I was at that conference in 1967 as a young adult friend, delegate to Iowa Year to Meeting. And since that time, I've been a regular supporter of ride sharing and have served on the board for the past 4 years, as was mentioned earlier. And I've also had the opportunity to visit the 3 countries where ride sharing has projects and meet many of the women and their wonderful children about who you will see today. So the mission of ride sharing is God calls us to the ride sharing from the burdens of materialism and poverty into the abundance of God's love, to work for equity through partnership with our sisters and brothers throughout the world. We think our founding mission still speaks to us today as it did over 50 years ago. So ride sharing has 2 major goals. The first goal is to provide opportunity for those of us blessed with material resources to explore the burdens of materialism, the power of enough, global responsibility, and to promote balanced, sustainable lifestyles and sharing right from our abundance. I'll just mention that cloth you see on the right-hand side of the screen is traditional fabric, hand-loomed and tie-dyed in Sierra Leone. It's beautiful, isn't it? One of the educational opportunities that Rotary offers is a workshop on the power of enough. It's facilitated by the Ride Sharing General Secretary Jackie Stillwell, who, in addressing the question, how can I balance my use of time, energy, and things to free me to do God's work and contribute to right order in our world? She begins with this query: what is essential? Participants then listen to each other's stories, reflect inwardly, notice how gratitude and abundance shape our choices, and consider our personal next steps. I participated in this workshop and found it to be very powerful for inner perspective and reflection, and thinking about what is my next step in contributing to making a difference in the world. Information about this workshop is found on the Ride Sharing website. Jackie is available to do a online workshop. She did that earlier this year, and there are several workshops scheduled in October and November in the evenings. Another way that we look at abundance and the power of enough is by games and activities for our Sunday school class. On the left is a food sharing game. It's a cooperative game where everyone wins when everyone has enough food. The children's calendar on the right encourages daily gratitude practices. It was a wonderful activity in November leading up to Thanksgiving. There's also a gratitude calendar for the adults. And these and other activities are also on the Right Caring website. The second goal, and with the focus of the rest of the presentation, is to provide resources for marginalized women in developing countries to improve the quality of life of the women, their families, and their communities, and to empower these women in a sustainable and self-determined way. So there are several words in this goal that are really strong words and part of Right Caring's commitment. Marginalized, developing countries, improving the quality of life, empowering women in a sustainable and self-determined way. So this woman here is in Tamil Nadu, which is the southern part of India, and it is where Right Caring had a good number of projects, and this is her vegetable selling business. On this map, you will see a listing of showing the wealth per capita, and you can see that the light blue countries are the least per capita wealthy, and the red countries have the highest. Three of these countries that have the poorest are India and Sierra Leone, and that is where Right Sharing is involved. Sometimes people ask, so how do you decide which country to be involved at this time? Well, we began in India over 30 years ago as the result of a connection with the Gandhian community there, and that led to our first grant for microloans. And then the largest number of Quakers, as you know, in the world are in Kenya. So it was a logical connection to help the underserved there. And for Sierra Leone, there was a Peace Corps connection through a former board member. In each of the countries, we have what we call field representatives, and they are our eyes and ears and face on the ground in these countries. These field representatives had come together in October of 2019 for the first ever consultation, and it was a wonderful opportunity for them to get to know each other, for them to be connected to the board and others. So on the left is Lowton, and on the far right is Sampson. They are field representatives in Kenya. Next to Lowton is Ahmed, and next to him is Salian, and they are the field representatives in Sierra Leone. And then Dr. Khanna is next to Salian, and he is one of two field representatives in India. There are two additional field representatives who weren't able to come, but you can find out more information about the bios of these field representatives on our website. So for those of you who are not familiar with the work, just a little diagram on how Right Sharing works. Number one, a group of women in one of these three countries applies for what we call a seed grant, which means they submit an application. It's reviewed by the field representatives. Sometimes they help them fill it out. A good number of the women do not have a lot of formal education, and so they sometimes need help in filling out the application. These come to the board. The program committee reviews them, makes recommendations to the board for selecting those to receive grants to be funded with donations from supporters. Number three, the groups, when they receive the money, then loan the money to the individual women members to run their micro business ventures. Number four, the women run their businesses, generate income, and then pay back their loan to the group. That with a little interest. And then the group then uses the repayment money to make more loans to additional women to fund their businesses. So the money that's given to the women is their money, and they determine how to use that. Loaning it to the members of the group, who then repay it with a little interest, and then that money then is circulated throughout, and often it brings in more women to participate in the program. So just in 2019, to get a sense of the impact, there were 41 groups who received a seed grant. And that included 1,092 women. Remember, there are maybe 20 to 30 women in a group. So they received the loan from the money that was given to the group. And that, we estimate, changed over 3,000 lives, which would include their children, their husbands, and other members of the community. So as I mentioned, loans are paid back to the group and then loaned out again. So in this picture, you see the women in Sierra Leone making their monthly loan repayments, and the treasurer is recording it in a ledger. Part of their training is good business practices, but they keep records of everything. So they bring the money, it is recorded in a ledger and kept as part of the overall record. We have come to strongly believe that a very important part of the program is just not giving them money, but actually giving training so that they can be as effective as possible. And so they're giving training in business management, accounting, marketing, and networking. In this picture, you see Logan, met earlier in Kenya, who is giving a training, business training, to a group in Kenya. And Sarah Northrup is the program coordinator, and she was visiting at the time of that picture. Another area of training that ride-sharing offers to our partners is training in social dynamics. And this is as important in some ways as financial management. And here's a group of women in Sierra Leone role-playing how they would deal with common problems that they might encounter, such as how will they respond if their husband or children or other relatives ask for some of the money they have received to start their businesses. It is for their business, it's not for their family, it's not for their husband. So how are they going to respond to that? And so they were practicing how they might do that. Or what to do if a family member gets sick and needs funds. So how does all this relate to how to do that, and what does that mean about the money that they have been given for their businesses? They also have an opportunity to do some health education. This group in India is instructing their children on mask wearing, hand washing, and social distancing during this time of the coronavirus pandemic. And as a result of the relationship that field representatives have in rural villages in Sierra Leone, they are trusted during a health crisis, such as Ebola or COVID-19, to explain the necessary health precautions. So they really are an extension of the larger community and their efforts to keep people safe and healthy. So, ride-sharing grants encourage leadership among women. Here is the chair lady, the woman with the white covering on her head, and the secretary on the left in the sweater, in a Kenyan women's group conferring over speech that the chair lady then gives to the visitors. I think I was present when this speech was given. So the chair lady, and then the woman with the white, is translating from her tribal language into English, which she does not speak. So although English is spoken in India, Kenya, and Sierra Leone, women learn the first tribal language, and then a regional country language, and then English is the third language. So the secretary, who has gone to school and learned English, is helping her translate. Can you imagine? I can't. How you might feel to translate a report and give it publicly in a language you have never spoken. And that is what she did. So a unique aspect of ride-sharing program is that ride-sharing requires that the products that women's businesses are made are for local consumption, not export. So you'll never see products from ride-sharing at 1,000 villages stores or places like that. Their businesses are meant to respond to the immediate needs of the community. And so on the left is a woman cleaning and selling fresh fish that is a staple in her community. And on the right is a hairdresser who started her own business and now teaches other women the art of hairdressing. Tailoring is another profitable business that benefits the community in both Kenya and India. Many women learn to sew in schools, but then must work at a clothing factory for very low wages because they don't own a sewing machine. But with a grant from ride sharing, they can buy a sewing machine and start their own business. So this is Manaka from India. She now makes around $3 or $4 per year, nearly 3 times what she used to make. I'm sorry, $3 or $4 per day. She's so happy to be able to work at home where she can care for her children while she sews. So that's another benefit of some of these projects that it allows the women to remain at home and care for their children while they're doing their work. Right, Sharon also expects that the projects will be environmentally friendly. So agriculture products do not use chemical fertilizers or pest control. In India, Right Sharing often support groups working to reclaim their family farmlands, which have been made infertile by the overuse of chemicals. The woman on the left is Jyoti. She makes mats from reclaimed materials in her home, and this allows her also to be home with her child during the day. And the woman on the right is preparing to use organic fertilizer. She's made this with rotten eggs, dead fish, and locally available materials. In all the countries, people are selling in the markets. They sell food and other necessities which provide for their communities and bring profit to their families. See, this is true in Kenya, left, and India, and Sierra Leone. So value-added products are also thought to be good for selling. These are ones that mean a small amount of the production helps to increase the sale price of the staple. For example, making flour into donuts or smoking fish increases the market value and therefore the profit of the product. This woman in India is providing takeout from home. She has prepared a simple Indian meal of dal, lentils, and idli, which are rice cakes, the white ones in the pot, and with a donut for dessert, which are the ones in the background, fried donuts. Very tasty. So these women in this village live in a small remote part of Sierra Leone. They make soap and bread. And these are all survivors of the Ebola. Twice a week they get up at 3 in the morning and walk 4 hours to the markets in larger towns where they sell their soap and bread. And then they use the money that they make from those sales to buy other commodities that are needed in the village. Then they walk back in 4 hours and sell the things that they bought in the large market to their neighbors in the village. So this really increases their profits and provides their community with supplies that they would not otherwise have. Brickmaking. So brickmaking is a common business in western part of Kenya because of the clay-like soil. Visiting Kenya, some of you may have visited Kenya, but you know that the soil, to me, was very much like the soil of North Carolina, red and clay. So when you drive down the road, you see people firing bricks by the side of the road. This woman is a grandmother of these children, and she has a brick-making business that helps support them. My experience of being in Kenya is that if you take a picture of a little child, one child, suddenly there are 10 children running to get in the picture, and then there are 20, and then there are 30, and they just come from wherever, and they love to have the picture taken. They're always waving, and they have these wonderful smiles. It just brings a joy to your heart. So I want to speak a little about bond labor. In India, there are many commercial brick kilns that engage in the illegal practice called bond labor. These are poor people who are enticed to come to work at these kilns by giving them a large advance of money, so then they have some money to work with. But this advance comes with a very high interest rate, and the bonded employee can't ever leave because the advance and the interest have not been paid off, and it's very difficult to do so. Since the daily pay is very low and the interest is very high, they can never get the debt paid off. And this creates a situation of bonded laboring, which effectively is slavery. So with the help of the ride-sharing grant, these women were able to pay back their advance, set up their own brick factory, and share the profits. So here you see the women in their lovely saris, working the soil, the clay, making them into bricks. I had an opportunity to visit this group of women and watch them work, and I never saw any of the soil on their saris. They were just able to somehow manage all of that, and I couldn't imagine that myself. So this is another woman who became a bonded laborer at a young age. And when her self-help group received a ride-sharing grant, she was able to pay off her loan and start her own brick-making business. And after several years, she moved from the thatched roof here in front to a 2-story brick house in the back, where she was able to build from her own new earnings. And she was also able to get a bicycle, which you see back there. So an example of great success by having her own business. But ride-sharing a grant is more than just a business, a starting business. It's also a partnership that affirms women, opens the doors to learning and leadership, empowering them to transform family and community life. And here is a self-help group meeting in India. As mentioned earlier, it's 20 to 30 women who support each other with problems and needs as they arise. It's really very much about a peer support group that helps make a better chance of being successful in their personal and their family life, as well as community and business. And you might notice that in this group, it's a combination of Muslim, Hindu, and Christian women. In India, it's really a taboo for different religions to talk to each other. However, with a ride-sharing grant, the women gain economic power and permission to join together and support each other. And eventually there's a shift in the connection between what the women are integrating into the community and gradually ripples out to the men. Ride-sharing very much encourages grant applications from groups where relationships are cross boundaries, and in Kenya, that would be encompassing more than one tribal group. Another outcome of the women's group is that women begin to advocate for each other and stand up for themselves, often in ways that are not easily visible. This is a picture of a public example of women's group being arrested for non-violent protesting because a landowner had cut off their access to a water supply. The powerful man called the police and thought he was done with the bothersome women, but because there were so many women involved, the court took them seriously, released them from the jail, and made the landowner restore the water. So 3 cheers for the women. Another instance in India, this handicapped ride-sharing beneficiary was raped by a distant relative. Crimes such as this against women often go unpunished in India, and even though the woman pressed charges, the police refused to arrest the man. Then the women's self-help group came to her aid and began demonstrating outside the police station. The local press took notice, and the police were forced to arrest the rapist. So another example of collective women and their capacity and power to speak truth. So I want to go back to Mamie. Mamie is the one in the lower right-hand corner here. You saw her in the earlier picture. Ebola struck Mamie Kamara's home in July of 2014. This is the community where Mamie lives, and this is part of the community, but this is focused on her. Her husband and all of her children died from the Ebola. She also became ill with the disease and was treated at a hospital. And when she returned to the village, her neighbors and friends distanced themselves from her and wouldn't interact with her. So at this point, she met the director of the Tiwa Development Organization, which is a ride-sharing partner, and they encouraged her and welcomed her into the group. She started a soap-making business as her microloan, and she is now integrated into the community. So when you support a woman to begin a business, you really support her whole family. As ride-sharing has evolved, we have come to the decision to support only women's groups. Part of the reason for this is that statistics show that women are more likely to invest their income in their families, children eat better and have access to health care. This is a little girl who will have milk on a daily basis since her mother is now raising goats. In many countries, children are required to wear school uniforms. Uniforms are expensive and must be purchased. So this means if you cannot afford a uniform, you can't go to school. So this woman in Sierra Leone was proud to have earned enough money through a ride-sharing vegetable business to buy a uniform and send all of her children to school. I don't think they have their uniforms on there, but she earned the money so they can have a uniform. So while ride-sharing is chosen to give grants to the women's group only, it doesn't mean that men are not involved in projects, and often husbands help and support the women in their businesses. So in this picture, it's This man left his seasonal agriculture work for his wife and her organic food business. They work together, although she's in charge, and are reintroducing nutritious traditional Indian food to the current culture of overly processed fast foods. There are also other reasons for supporting women. Right-sharing grants give women more than just financial help. In all 3 countries where we work, women are seen as second-class citizens. So upon receiving a loan that allows to start a business and earn money, a woman gains political and social power that accompanies ownership of money and business assets. In this picture, this is Jane Jengo of Kipchak Friends Women Group in Kenya with her husband. Every day, Jane gets up at 3 in the morning to make mandazi for breakfast buns. And her husband delivers them to the various kiosks and marketplaces around her village where they're sold. I want to briefly tell you the story about Kenny. Kenny, the young man in green, he's the only male member that we know who's been adopted into a women's group. And it's a great story of a family working together to overcome poverty. Kenny's mother was an original member of the Gitami Women's Group. This is in Kenya. She received a microloan in 2014 when she started a small store. At the time, Kenny had left home to start his own life. Their father had died, and then unfortunately their mother contracted malaria and she died shortly after starting her business. The oldest daughter, Catherine, on the left, was only 16. She took over the running of the store and provided for her 4 younger brothers and sisters. However, she received a scholarship from Friends United Me to go to high school and had to leave home because there was no high school in her town. At that point, Catherine called Kenny and asked him to come home and take over the store. Kenny didn't know how to read, he didn't know how to write enough, but he agreed to let the women in his mother's self-help group mentor him so he could learn to keep the books. So here's Kenny, proudly showing his financial book records in his first year. It turned out that Kenny was a pretty good businessman and the store thrived and grew, and now he's opened a second store and has been able to have enough money to put all his younger siblings through high school and on to college. So what I've shared with you are specific where lives have been transformed, family income increases by 6% or more, health and nutrition is improved, more children are able to go to school, women grow in self-confidence, skills, independence, and sustainability. Unified women create peace in community. Women participate in decision-making, in families, and communities become stronger. So we believe and know that a little goes a lot and does a lot. So for $5, you can get 1 chicken, which will have ongoing egg production. For $6, you can buy a rake and a hoe for farming. For $15, a stove. $50 for a wheelbarrow for farming. These are all businesses the women start. So with $60, they can buy bees for honey production. For $115, they can buy the sewing machines that we saw earlier. The $150 buys supplies to start a bun bakery. $200 can start a village food kiosk, a little store. For $75, you can start a rope making business, and for $333, you can buy a milk cow in India. And for $6,500, we'll fund 20 women to begin a micro-owned business. So how can you make a difference? First of all, celebrating your blessings and sharing your abundance. Right Sharing has a newsletter that's issued 4 times a year. It can be in print, or you can get it electronically, and you can sign up for that on the website. It tells wonderful stories about the women and their successes in their countries. There are also educational materials available on the website, and I think I heard mentioned earlier the Right Sharing postage stamp. Just mentioned that over $1,500 is raised every year. So if you have stamps, or you know someone who has a stamp collection they're trying to get rid of, it's a good cause to give those to Right Sharing. And there's also the opportunity to host a simple meal, which provides an educational opportunity, and donations help transform someone's life. Writing a check and giving online. The Good Search, you have 1 cent for each time you search. It's an alternative to Google search. And if you use Amazon Smile, you can benefit an organization like Right Sharing. Of course, there's always estate planning as well. Finally, there are some groups, individual groups who actually sponsor a whole women's group. And here's one example of the Eustace Street in Dublin, lower picture, who are sponsors for this Runda Friends Women Group, upper picture in Kenya. So this provides an opportunity for the friends to be educated, to learn about the country, the culture, the realities of global wealth inequality, and just brings it all much more at home by having these individual relationships with the community in this case in Kenya. So this sort of brings me to the close of my presentation. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to share the story, to introduce you to some of the women, and invite you to consider some of these opportunities to think about how a little can make such a difference in the lives of women, and how the giving continues on as the women expand their businesses, as they grow in their strength and capacities within their families and in their communities. And advance, thank you with a hand wave. So that is the end of my presentation. In my show. I don't know if there are any questions, and I know that time is short and nearly noon, so I'll see if there are any questions that friends want to ask, or any comments that you'd like to make before I conclude.
Thank you, Marion. We have enjoyed it so much, and I have learned a tremendous amount of information, and I feel like everyone has. So we really appreciate you doing this for us, giving us this information. And thank you, Paul, for allowing us to do this today. Thank you, Marion. And have a good trip. She is going to be climbing. Tell us what you're going to do this week, or what the climb that you're doing. You're climbing a mountain.
Yeah. I had very sore legs and thighs when I got home. It was a good trip. It was a good hike, though.
What mountain
Thank
was
you.
it? What mountain?
A mountain haunt over in it's eastern Tennessee, outside of Gatlinburg.
Okay, well, good. Thank you again. Let's give her a hand. Jan Doe is going to come up and present our memorials. We usually do this as a way to recognize ladies who have given their service during their lifetime. And so at this time, let's pause and Jan will read our names.
Audrey Hepburn was a timeless beauty, and in addition to being one of my favorite actresses, she was also admired as a humanitarian. Her love for helping those around her was evident in her life. When asked about her beauty secrets, she'd like to share one of her favorite poems, Time-Tested Beauty Tips, written by Sam Levinson. I'd like to share this poem with you today. For attractive lips, speak words of kindness. For lovely eyes, seek out the good in people. For a slim figure, share your food with the hungry. For beautiful hair, let a child run his or her fingers through it once a day. For poise, walk with the knowledge that you'll never walk alone. People, even more than things, have to be restored, renewed, revived, reclaimed, and redeemed. Never throw out anybody. Remember, if you ever need a helping hand, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself and one for helping others. The beauty of a woman is not in the clothes she wears, the figure that she carries, or the way she combs her hair. The beauty of a woman may be seen from in her eyes, because that is the doorway to her heart, the place where love resides. The beauty of a woman is not a facial mold, but true beauty in a woman is reflected in her soul. It is the caring that she gives, the passion that she shows, and the beauty of a woman with passing years only grows. We all have these beautiful women in our meetings that encourage, inspire, and spur us on to be better in all that we do. It is with gratitude for the good times we shared and the example they led in caring for their communities, our meetings, our USFW, and our missions that I read the following memorials. Archdale Friends, Gwen Dale Taylor. Asheboro Friends, Helena McBride, Phyllis Smith, Jane Wright. Bethel Friends, Anna Pugh. Bethesda Friends, Marcel Seals Hardison Edwards. Cedar Square Friends, Doris Davis Cashat. Concord Friends, Mamie Newman Honeycutt. Goldsboro Friends, Nora Lee Edgerton, Annette Cox, Hilda Howell, Hallowell Howell, it's a tongue twister. Aldave Lancaster. Hopewell Friends, Marion Nilsson, Phyllis Drider. High Point Friends, Annalise Bry. Jamestown Friends, Peggy Baxter. Marlboro Friends, Geraldine Jerry Andrews Farlow. Nahunta Friends, Barbara Davis Howard. New Hope Friends, Eleanor Pope, Evelyn Garris, Maxine Newsom. Upriver Friends, Rose Shaw Riddick. And White Plains Friends, Bessie, Dolly Hill, Dolly High Marshall. I'd also like to mention these other friends that we have lost in the past year. Kay Kane, who served 15 years in Belize. Bill Reams, he was the former clerk of the AFSC Southeastern Region. Mary Glenn Hadley, former missionary to East Africa and former president of our USFWI. Paul Enhard, is a Quaker minister and missionary to Central America. Martha McDonald, she's a former director of the AFSC Material Aids Program in High Point. Clarabelle Marsteller was a New England yearly meeting. Jennifer Wanda, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing these names, but she's on our USFWI Executive Board member. Lois Hackney, she was the USFWI Executive Board member. And Raymond Ligario, who was the former clerk of the Cuban yearly meeting and director of the Quaker Peace Institution. And he just passed away a few weeks ago, so in the past week. We remember before God and Father your work produced by faith, your labor prompted by love, and your endurance inspired by in the hope of our Lord Jesus Christ. And that's 1 Thessalonians 1:3. I'd also at this time like to recognize our Eliza Armstrong Cox Scholarship recipients. This year, and these funds are split between us and they go to our scholarship fund, so it's a very important thing to recognize someone in your meeting for the Eliza Armstrong Cox. It does not have to be a woman. You can recognize anyone in your meeting or anyone. It's a $25 donation, and like I said, half of that goes into our scholarship fund. This year, our recipients are Diane York from Rocky River Friends. And also, this year, someone has generously, extremely generously, anonymously donated in memory of all the 23 memorials that I just read. Has given them the Eliza Armstrong Cox recognition too. So.
I want to thank Jan for doing this in the place of Addis Beeson. Addis could not be with us today, and let's all just remember Addis. So thank you, Jan, for doing that. And we do thank our anonymous donor for supporting our scholarship fund by recognizing these memorials for the Eliza Armstrong Cox Fellowship. We're going to now have an installation of our officers. Janice Zachary is going to come up, and I'd like for all the officers to And Leanne is also, when she comes up after that, I want her to tell you about the scholarship, who got them, how many we were able to award, since we've been talking about that. So after installation, Leanne can tell us about that. Janice?
It's an honor to be able to install the officers for the year 2021. An installation is an occasion with the acceptance of serious and important dates to be shouldered, but it is likewise a happy event, bright with the memories of past work well done, of problems faced together, of friendships made, and the joy of working with others for others. Today we will install our 2020-21 officers with the theme of constructing a strong North Carolina USFW. Unfortunately, several of the people are not here, but we will just go right along like they are. So you just pretend they're standing up here whenever I do their part. Okay, well, will the retiring officers please come forward? Stewardship Secretary Linda Anderson and Scholarship Lee Van Hughes. Today you have reached the end of your immediate service to North Carolina USFW. You are to be commended for the manner in which you have fulfilled the duties and obligations of your office and the effort given to the promotion of our ideals and objectives. I am happy to speak for the North Carolina USFW to acknowledge publicly our appreciation for your service. And we give you this prayer journal as a symbol of your service. Do you want to speak? Well, you just go right ahead.
Well, after 17 years of doing this, this is kind of my final speech, but I've enjoyed it. I've met a lot of nice people, and I knew I'd cry because I'm a very emotional person anyway, but everybody has been so wonderful. But I need to really beg right now. Our scholarship money is way down. So we need to have more generous, anonymous donors like we just had for giving towards scholarship. We had 14 people this year to receive a scholarship, 7 returning who each got $315, and 7 new applicants who were able to get $150 apiece. Only 5 meetings actually sent in applicants this year. So hopefully you'll talk this up in your meeting, not only to give, but also to encourage these young people to apply for the scholarships. And we'll have a new leader, Benny Burton, who will be introduced to you shortly. And she will, I know, do a great job of getting any information out to you that you need. It's always on the webpage. Paul keeps everything updated for that also. So be sure to encourage your young people who are going to school to apply for this starting January the 1st. And everything is always due by the postmark date of March the 15th. And please also on the application, before you sign it, is a heavy, black, bold word word that says, include a personal letter. We have so many applications that come in without that letter, and usually you're not awarded a scholarship because you did not fulfill all the requirements. So please include a letter. Thank you for everybody, all your support. I appreciate everything everybody's done.
Well, Dan, will you stay, just a minute, and I'm doing this out of order, which I tend to do. We had just a little something else for Levan, because most of these officers, when we take on a term, it's a 3-year term, and you can do 2 terms, which is 6 years. But Levan has actually done this job for 17 years, and we thought that she deserved a little extra, so we have this for Levan, and this is your mom also to take home. You need to water it. I didn't want to put water in it. But if everyone will just please, 17 years, and also I happen to have been on the nominating committee. And when I talked to Benny, who I know is going to be wonderful, she said, oh, I'm honored to do this and blah, blah, blah. But she said, I'm not going to do it 17 years like that. So everybody, let's give Levan a thank you. Sorry, Janice. Behind you. You dropped it.
Anybody else want to speak?
Sorry.
I can never trust these people. Okay, back to business at hand. In order for the work of any organization to function effectively, there must be a building among the officers. If the building is as strong as it should be and can be, the work of each officer must thoroughly synchronize with the work of all the other officers. This being true, the group of officers we have chosen to lead us in our work for the coming years may be likened to the tools used in building a building. Construction can be found everywhere. We can see it in new road construction, new buildings and homes, and in the renovating of old structures. God's building is in the hands of those who accept the responsibilities of leadership. For the ensuing year, you are encouraged to work to build all over our state, touching lives of those around you whose lives need constructing or new structures. Today, let us organize for this purpose a set of tools to continue to build and strengthen our North Carolina USFW. Will the newly appointed officers please step forward as I call your name? Stewardship Secretary Sherry Quinn. And Scholarship Benny Burton. And remember, we're pretending everybody's here, so. Stewardship is Sherry, as Stewardship Secretary, you represent the screwdriver. The screwdriver is used to tighten screws and strengthen the construction. Your job is to keep our focus tight on the needs of our missions and projects, and to be good stewards of that which God has given us. We give you this screwdriver as a symbol of your responsibilities. And for her, she actually a screwdriver. Benny, as scholarship chair, you represent the saw. The saw is used to cut wood into smaller usable pieces. Similarly, you help those that are ensuing higher education to cut the cost of these financial responsibilities they face. We give you this saw as a symbol of your responsibilities. Will the returning officers please come forward as I call your names? President Janet Robbins, Vice President Sherry Hilton. Treasurer Alicia Sharp. Recording Secretary Jessica Jarvis. Adult Missionary Education Edith Shepherd. Children and Youth Education Denise Barnes. Literature Sarah Cox. Christian Service Judy Craven. Peace and Social Concerns Linda Kersey. Carolina Woman Editor Rossi Hobson. And Historian Addis Beeson. I don't want any problems, Janet, as president, you represent the hammer. The hammer is a tool of power. Your job is to lead and empower our group. As the hammer drives the nail straight into the wood, you will use your power to nail our goals and strengthen our group. We give you a hammer as a symbol of your responsibilities. Sherry, as president-elect, your place in the work zone is the keeper of the blueprints. With careful direction and leadership, the blueprints will mark our goals and show the plans for construction. You, as president-elect, are charged with the responsibility of working with the president to enlist the cooperation of the entire membership. We give you the blueprints as a symbol of your responsibility. Jessica, as recording secretary, you represent the pencil and ruler. In construction, these instruments are used to mark progress and achievements. As recording secretary, it will be your duty to record all the building of our USFW, our achievements, and the activities that we pursue. We give you this pencil and ruler as a symbol of your responsibility. Alicia, as treasurer, you represent the toolbox. The toolbox is used to keep all the valuable tools safe and available for use. Your job is to keep the monies of our group safe and available for use when needed. We give you this toolbox as a symbol of your responsibilities. Linda, as peace and social concerns you represent the safety glasses. In construction, safety glasses are worn to protect the eyes, and so the work may be clearly visible. While wearing the safety glasses, you will be able to make us aware of the concerns that surround us. Your vision will help direct us to be better neighbors. We give you safety glasses as a symbol of your responsibility. Edith, as adult missionary education, you represent the nuts and bolts. The nuts and bolts are the tools needed to hold our building together and are the basics of our construction. Our missionary work is the basis of our organization, and it is your job to keep us informed of the needs and work of our missionaries. We give you nuts and bolts as a symbol of your responsibilities. Denise, as Children and Youth Education Secretary, you represent the hard hat. The hard hat is used to protect our most valuable organ, our brain. Your job is similar in that you are protecting and inspiring our most valuable assets, our children and youth. Sarah, as literary secretary, you represent the how-to books. The how-to books are tools used to instruct and teach. Your job is to continue to instruct and teach us through books. Our literature will help us grow in God's love. We give you a how-to book as a symbol of your responsibility. Judy. As Christian Service Secretary, you represent the work gloves. The work gloves are used to protect our hands and strengthen the work that they can accomplish. Our service to our meetings, our communities, and to the missions are the physical work of our organization. It is your job to keep us informed of the opportunities to be of service to others. We give you work gloves as a symbol of your responsibilities. Carolina Woman Editor, Rossi. As Carolina Woman Editor, you represent the Carpenter Square. The square marks the designated cuts for making rafters or stair steps. The angles must be cut precise and ensure to a perfect fit. Likewise, you frame our articles and important information into our newsletter to keep us informed and enlightened to the work of our USFW. We give you a square as a symbol of your responsibility. Addis. As historian, you represent the level. The level is used to establish vertical and horizontal lines to keep the building straight. Your job is much like this as we balance the building of the past with the building of the future. Keeping a record of our history will help level the future building of our USFW. We give you this level as a symbol of your responsibilities. The building of any structure requires many tools and workers to complete the project. Each tool is important to the strength and beauty of the structure. Each of you have been given a tool that represents your office and the responsibilities that you will fulfill this year. Sometimes the best way to get a job done is by using one tool alone. But if that's the only way you work, your productivity will be limited. Most structures are the product of multiple tools working together to create a unified whole. Depend on the support and cooperation of others, especially those with skills you don't have. Our contractor will be God. We will look to him for our guidance and be ready with our tools to build and glorify in his name. Use your tools this year to the best of your ability and construct a strong North Carolina USFW. I now declare you duly installed as officers of North Carolina United Society of Friends Women.
Yeah, we got to come together some. Make 2 rows, the short ones get in the top. There. You can still distance yourself.
All right, one more thing, ladies. This table over here.
Children, we're not here.
We would also like to recognize our North Carolina representatives on the USFWI board. Please stand if you are with us today. Rita Mintmeyer, Treasurer. Etta Florence Winslow, Advocates, Subscriptions. And Mary Anna McCollum, Literature Secretary.
Face it up.
I'm going to ask the blessing, but Jan, are there any directions you want to give before that?
Well, food's out here, so, I guess everyone, we can bring it to you so everybody doesn't have to get up or how.
They'll have to get their drinks anyway.
Yeah, so they can just get up, they're all alike.
Why don't you send tables? You point to the table.
Okay.
You're gonna be a pointer.
Yeah. You can be a chair. And, they'll just get their food here and then their drink here, so we'll do it.
Rita wants to say
I
something.
just wanted to say, in regards to the presentation we just saw, if you saw that she mentioned the calendars, if you go onto the Right Sharing of World Resources website, you can pull up that calendar, and it's really a great thing to do with your kids. It's fun things like 3 cents for every water faucet in your house. Just making them aware that everybody doesn't have water faucets in their house. Or maybe it'll be a penny for every electrical outlet. And you just collect it, and then at the end of the month, you can make that contribution to Right Sharing. But it's just a fun thing to do with your kids, and it is available on their website.
Thank you, Rita, and I actually was wondering where I could get that, so that's great. Okay. All right, if you'll bow your heads, please. Father God, we come to you today with huge thankful hearts for so many things that you've done for us. We thank you, God, for making today even possible that all of these women have come from somewhere in North Carolina. These are the women, Lord, who are your disciples, who work so hard to go out and make more disciples of the world. And God, we know we've had some tough times this year, but we also know that you want us to understand that when we're on the top of those mountains, that we sure do have a gorgeous view, but we also know, Lord, that when we go through these valleys, that this is actually where the fruit is grown. So, Lord, we ask you to be with us as we do go out, as we go and we bring in more disciples for you and as we help to grow your kingdom. And Father, I'd like to ask you today to bless this food that we're about to have, that you will bless the hands that prepared it, and that it will nourish our bodies and that our bodies will be used to serve you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.